Well, mostly I've been involved since I retired from the practice of medicine and teaching. I've been involved with Christopher Newport University and with Dr. Santoro. It's been over 20 years, and I had started the National Genocide Education Project, and I was looking for a professor who was knowledgeable about the Third Reich, and I was told about Dr. Santoro, who I met, and he agreed to work with me and others on the Genocide Education Project. And for a number of years, I spoke and lectured in his class on Nazi medical crimes. I became interested in that actually during World War II. I was an adolescent, and I had members of my family who had escaped from Europe, from Germany, fortunately in time. And we were told and learned about what was going on in Nazi Germany. And when I went to medical school, I became interested in trying to find out or learn or understand how doctors of medicine could have allowed themselves to be subverted by the government of the country in which they lived.
Dr. Reiff firmly believes that the medical profession is to preserve life and alleviate healing. What bothers him is to look back at the horrors perpetrated by medical doctors during Nazi Germany and to understand what could have caused people trained to preserve life and alleviate healing to go completely the other direction. He wants to make sure that does never happen again in history. So to me, you take someone who has that incredible pedigree and he is donating all of his time and he's donating a lot of his personal money to ensure that this is carried forward. So in my view, in speaking with him, you would meet a very humble person who has done remarkable things, and he doesn't seek credit. And I will tell you this, in one of the early discussions when we were talking about the Center for Conflict Resolution and Human Rights, he insisted his name not be on it. Several of us insisted that his name be on it, and it ended up on it. But he didn't want credit for himself. He wanted this to make a difference.
I think it's important that people of all cultures be brought together.
Well, I met Dr. Santoro when he first came to Christopher Newport to interview for a position of president back in 1987. Well, I guess his interview was in 1986. I got to meet him at the time. He seems to remember that I threw a rather challenging question at him in the interview, which I don't remember, but as usual, he didn't hold that against me.
I came in 1987 as president of the then Christopher Newport College, and I stayed for almost 9 years as president and turned it into a university, and then set back into what I really like doing best, teaching.
When he finished his 10 years as president, he went to the history department, and for the last 26 years has served as distinguished professor of history, teaching courses mostly in the Nazi period and the Holocaust.
Well, my area of research extends way back almost to ancient Egypt. It includes ancient Egypt. It's all autocratic societies. The undemocratic ones, some of them are more pleasant than others. I also study the Nazis in great detail. That's what most of my research has been in. And that was a factor of my growing up before World War II. And my father, who went away to the war, was a battalion surgeon in the 95th Infantry. My Uncle Rex fought the Japanese. My Uncle Salvatore fought the Germans. My Aunt Angela was a combat nurse in London during the Blitz. So that affected my whole life. I didn't really see my father till the end of World War II. And when he came back, we were scared. We had watched movies as kids, you know, newsreels. And he said, "Don't be afraid, Anthony. There are no more Nazis. We killed them all. They're not coming back." Well, that's haunted me for 75 years because they are back. And so that's why I work at this study of the Nazi state, the Holocaust. It's important to me. And I think it's important for people to realize, although history doesn't repeat itself, people do. Human nature does, the human person repeats. And so if we can derive something from studying the past, maybe we can improve the future. We haven't done a very good job of it. As a historian, I'm always willing to say to my students, it might surprise you, but in 5,000 years of recorded history, there haven't been 100 years of continuous peace. There's always been a war somewhere. We should find a better way. And communicate with other people helps us do that.